Imagine your mind as a profound, fertile garden, always in a state of growth. What seeds are you planting within its rich soil? Are you nurturing vibrant flowers of peace, resilience, and clarity, or are the stubborn weeds of doubt, fear, and worry relentlessly choking the life from your inner landscape? We've all felt the insidious creep of negative thinking, a silent thief that subtly steals our joy, drains our vital energy, and distorts our perception of reality. It whispers doubts, amplifies anxieties, and paints every challenge with shades of despair, making mountains out of molehills and shadows into monsters. This constant internal monologue, often critical, judgmental, and relentlessly self-defeating, can slowly but surely become a prison without visible bars, a cage woven not from steel, but from our own unexamined thoughts. The ancient Stoics understood this internal battle intimately. They knew that the greatest struggle we face is often not against external adversaries, but against the turbulent forces within our own minds. As Seneca wisely observed, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. This timeless insight cuts to the very heart of negative thinking. Much of our anguish is self-inflicted, born from how we interpret and react to the world rather than the world itself. But what if there was a way to reclaim your mental garden, to not just trim the superficial weeds, but to truly kill the deep roots of negative thinking, thereby rewiring your mind for profound resilience, unshakable serenity, and an authentic sense of inner peace? For centuries, the enduring wisdom of Stoicism has offered a powerful, practical antidote to this very struggle. It's not about suppressing your emotions or becoming coldly indifferent to life's experiences. It's about understanding the intricate mechanisms of your mind, mastering your often chaotic perceptions, and choosing your responses to life's inevitable challenges with deliberate wisdom and profound intention. Today, we embark on a transformative journey together, a quest to uncover 7 wise secrets drawn directly from the timeless philosophy of the Stoics. These profound insights will empower you to dismantle ingrained negative thought patterns and cultivate an unshakable inner fortress, a sanctuary of calm amidst any storm. These aren't mere platitudes or fleeting self-help trends. They are practical, battle-tested strategies that have guided emperors, philosophers, and ordinary people through life's most turbulent seas, helping them navigate loss, criticism, poverty, and uncertainty with grace and fortitude. They are powerful tools designed to sharpen your mind, fortify your spirit, and liberate you from the tyranny of irrational fears, anxious projections, and debilitating self-criticism. As we delve into these profound, life-altering insights, I invite you to actively participate in this journey of mental liberation. If you are truly ready to transform your mind, to shed the chains of negative thinking, and embrace a more resilient, purposeful, and peaceful way of being, then I ask you to type "Mind Rewired" in the comments section below. Let that declaration be your public commitment, your personal mantra to this transformative path. And if you find genuine value, inspiration, or a glimmer of hope in these ancient lessons, please consider honoring our shared pursuit of wisdom by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement helps us share this invaluable guidance with more seekers who yearn to profoundly impact their lives. Secret number 2, unmasking the true nature of events. Imagine your mind as a pristine lake, its surface reflecting the world around it. When a pebble drops, the ripples are undeniable. But often, we don't just see the ripple. We add our own tumultuous judgment to it. We don't just register the fact of the pebble, but we immediately assume it's an attack, a disaster, a sign of impending doom. This second secret to rewiring your mind with Stoicism is about learning to distinguish between what simply is and what we interpret it to be. Negative thinking often stems not from the event itself, but from the story we relentlessly tell ourselves about it, a narrative woven with fear, resentment, or perceived injustice. The Stoics understood that the external world is a theater of indifferent things. Rain falls, traffic snarls, a colleague speaks harshly. These are the pebbles. Our suffering, however, comes from our internal reaction, our judgment, our decision to label these events as bad or catastrophic. It's like standing at the edge of that lake, seeing a small ripple and instantly screaming about a tsunami. This act of distinguishing is a powerful first step in reclaiming your inner tranquility and dismantling the architecture of negative thought. Consider a modern example. You wake up to an email from your boss marked "Urgent meeting today." Your stomach clenches, your heart races. Immediately, your mind jumps to conclusions. I've done something wrong. I'm going to be fired. This is going to ruin my day. The fact is simply, boss sent an urgent email about a meeting. Everything else is your judgment, a story you've created before even opening the email. This story, born of anxiety, immediately floods your system with cortisol and stress, poisoning your present moment. The Stoic path encourages you to pause, strip away the layers of fear and assumption. What is the raw data? Just an email, just a meeting. The potential outcomes, good or bad, are not yet real. By separating the objective event from your subjective interpretation, you reclaim your mental space. You refuse to let your imagination run wild with worst-case scenarios, giving external circumstances undue power over your inner peace. As Epictetus wisely taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This profound truth underscores the entire premise of disentangling facts from judgments. The event itself is neutral. It carries no inherent emotional weight. It is our opinion about the event, our internal commentary, that assigns it meaning and often causes our distress. When we truly grasp this, we realize that we are the architects of our own emotional landscape. We have the power to observe the pebble dropping into the lake, acknowledge the ripple, and then choose not to attach a catastrophic narrative to it. This choice is where our freedom lies, where we begin to dismantle the habitual patterns of negative thinking. It is an invitation to witness reality without immediately imposing our anxieties upon it, to respond thoughtfully rather than react viscerally. For your practical exercise, throughout your day, whenever you feel a surge of negative emotion, be it anger, frustration, anxiety, or sadness, pause for a moment. Identify the external trigger, what just happened. Then deliberately separate that event from your internal reaction. Write down the objective fact, my train was delayed. Then write down your judgment, this is terrible, my whole day is ruined. Now look at them side by side. See how your judgment is a separate layer, a story added to a neutral fact. The train being delayed is an inconvenience. Your day being ruined is a pronouncement you made. Practice this distinction, and you will begin to see the immense power you hold over your own mind, slowly but surely starving the beast of negative thinking by refusing to feed it your unexamined judgments. Secret number 2. Recalibrate your inner lens. Imagine your mind not as a blank slate, but as an intricate camera lens through which you view the world. Each event, every interaction, every passing thought is light passing through this lens. If that lens is smudged with past disappointments, scratched by anxieties, or focused too tightly on imperfections, then everything you perceive will be distorted, dark, and bleak. Negative thinking isn't just about the bad things that happen to you. It's profoundly about how you choose to focus and filter those experiences. The Stoics understood that the external world is largely indifferent. It neither favors nor persecutes us. It simply is. The vibrant hues or the dull grays we see are not inherent in the scene itself, but are painted by the quality of our internal lens. When we allow our perception to be clouded by assumptions, fears, or the judgments of others, we willingly dim our own light. We project our inner turmoil onto the world, then mistakenly believe the world is that turmoil. To conquer negative thinking, you must consciously and diligently clean, adjust, and recalibrate this inner lens. You have the power to choose the focus, to wipe away the smudges, and to decide whether you'll zoom in on despair or pan out to appreciate the wider, more nuanced landscape of reality. This is not about denying reality, but about refusing to let reality dictate your inner state through an unexamined, biased filter. Consider a moment when you felt slighted by a colleague's brief, perhaps even terse, email response. Immediately, your inner lens might zoom in on the curtness, magnify it into perceived disrespect, and paint an entire narrative of their dislike for you or your inadequacy. This tiny, neutral data point, filtered through an anxious or self-doubting lens, transforms into a full-blown personal attack, sparking anger, self-pity, or dread. Or perhaps you're stuck in traffic, and instead of seeing an unavoidable delay, your mind's lens distorts it into a personal affront, a deliberate conspiracy of the universe to ruin your day. You begin to ruminate, to catastrophize, to feel a surge of frustration that poisons not just that moment, but potentially the rest of your day, all because of how your internal camera chose to frame the shot. But what if you were to consciously clean that lens? What if you considered that your colleague might simply be busy, or that the traffic offers an unexpected moment for quiet reflection or a call to a loved one? The event itself doesn't change, but your experience of it transforms completely. This is the power of recalibration. Epictetus famously reminded us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. And this profound truth lies at the heart of dismantling negative thinking. The true source of our distress is not the traffic jam, the critical comment, or the setback, but the interpretation we impose upon it. We often mistakenly believe our negative feelings are caused by external events, when in reality they are a byproduct of our own perception, our internal lens. By shifting our perspective, by consciously choosing to interpret events through a more rational, resilient, and objective filter, we reclaim our power. We cease to be victims of circumstance and become masters of our inner world, understanding that our tranquility depends not on what happens, but on how we choose to see it. This inner shift is not easy. It requires constant vigilance, like polishing a lens daily to prevent new smudges from forming. But the freedom it offers is immeasurable. To practice this, take a moment at the end of each day. Reflect on one specific instance where a negative thought or emotion arose. It could be triggered by a comment, a delay, a minor failure, or even a fleeting worry. Instead of simply reliving the negative feeling, consciously pause and identify the event that triggered it. Then ask yourself, how did my inner lens interpret this event? Was it zoomed in on the worst possible outcome? Was it distorted by a past fear? Now, actively try to reframe it. What other interpretations are possible? What is the most charitable explanation? What is the most objective, fact-based view? Can you find a silver lining, a lesson, or simply an indifferent fact within the situation? Make this a daily exercise in mental photography, learning to adjust your focus, broaden your aperture, and develop a more balanced, clear-eyed view of your own life. This deliberate act of reperception is the cornerstone of rewiring your mind and truly killing negative thinking at its source. Have you ever felt caught in a relentless current, pulled along by every surge of emotion, every negative thought that sweeps through your mind? Like a small boat tossed on a stormy sea, your inner world can feel like a battleground where you are constantly reacting, constantly trying to bail water, constantly fighting against forces that seem beyond your control. This ceaseless engagement with every fleeting thought, every sting of criticism, every whisper of self-doubt is the very bedrock of negative thinking. We become so entangled in the immediate drama of our mental landscape that we forget there's an alternative, the serenity of the observer. The fourth profound secret to dismantling negative thinking is to embrace the inner spectator. Detach from the drama of your mind. Imagine your mind not as a tiny vessel at the mercy of the waves, but as a vast, vibrant city. Your thoughts are the incessant traffic, the blaring horns, the hurried footsteps, the captivating advertisements flashing across towering screens. Your emotions are the city's mood swings, the sudden downpour of sadness, the fiery heat of anger, the shimmering glow of joy. Most of us live right on the street level, caught in the midst of this relentless activity. We are the pedestrian jostled in the crowd, the driver stuck in gridlock, the consumer mesmerized by every flashy sign. We are not just in the city, we are the city, believing that every bump, every noise, every moment of chaos is personal and all-encompassing. We react to every honk, curse, every delay, internalize every advertisement as a deficiency. This constant immersion in the immediate, unexamined flow of mental traffic is exhausting, consuming, and often profoundly negative. But the Stoic path offers an escape from the street-level frenzy. It invites you to ascend, to climb to a high-rise rooftop, a quiet perch overlooking the entire metropolis. From this vantage point, the individual cars are no longer personal affronts or urgent crises demanding your immediate, visceral reaction. They are simply movement, patterns, the inevitable ebb and flow of urban life. The blaring horns become a distant hum, the advertisements just splashes of color. You see the whole without being consumed by its individual chaotic parts. You don't try to stop the traffic, you simply observe its motion. This perspective creates space, a serene, powerful distance between you and the tumultuous narrative that often consumes your inner world. It's not about ignoring reality or suppressing feelings. It's about perceiving reality without the immediate, often painful, emotional grip. It is the clarity of seeing the mechanism without being part of its grinding gears. Your mind, in this view, becomes a grand stage where thoughts and emotions are actors, but you, the inner spectator, are merely the audience, not one of the players. You watch the play unfold, knowing that you are distinct from the drama. The peace found in this distance is like the calm eye of the storm, a place of quiet strength amidst the swirling chaos. Consider a common modern scenario. You receive a harsh, unfair email at work. Perhaps it's a critique of your performance that feels unwarranted, or a passive-aggressive remark from a colleague. The moment you read those words, a familiar tightening begins in your chest. Heat rises in your face, your heart rate quickens. Your mind, like a cornered animal, immediately springs to action, crafting a scathing reply, rehearsing arguments, reliving past injustices, fueling the flame of anger and defensiveness. This is the city traffic consuming you, pulling you into its relentless, reactive current. Applying the wisdom of the inner spectator fundamentally alters this experience. Instead of immediately diving into the emotional fray, you pause. You don't ignore the physiological and emotional signals, but you observe them. You acknowledge the physical sensations. My jaw is clenched, my shoulders are tense, there's a heat behind my eyes. You identify the emotional impulse. Ah, here is anger rising. Here is the feeling of injustice. Here is the thought, this is unfair, how dare they? But crucially, you don't become the anger. You simply notice it. You create a distinct separation. You differentiate between the event, the email containing specific words, and your judgment of it, that it is unfair, insulting, or personally attacking. You realize that reacting from this initial, unexamined, and highly charged emotional place will almost certainly lead to regret, to an escalation of conflict, or to further distress. The inner spectator offers you a buffer. You observe the desire to lash out, to prove them wrong, to defend yourself at all costs. You see these impulses as they arise, like clouds passing across the sky. By creating this space, by simply watching, you allow the initial emotional storm to lose its intensity. The urgency dissipates. The raw, reactive energy drains away. Only then, from a place of relative calm and clear-headedness, can you decide on a rational, measured response, or even no response at all, if that is the most effective path. This practice reclaims your agency, allowing reason to step in where raw, unexamined emotion once dominated. This principle extends to the ubiquitous arena of social media. You scroll through your feed and encounter a controversial post, a political opinion you vehemently disagree with, or even just a seemingly boastful update from an acquaintance. Your immediate reaction is a visceral pull to engage, to argue, to condemn, to feel outrage. This is your mind catching fire, fueled by judgments about the rightness or wrongness of what you're seeing. The inner spectator, however, steps back. It asks, "This post exists. My mind is generating a powerful feeling of outrage, annoyance, envy. What is the source of this feeling? Is it genuinely harmful, or is it triggering a personal belief, a bias, or an insecurity within me?" This detachment allows for discernment. You can then ask, is this a hill worth dying on? Is engaging in this online battle truly beneficial, or merely a drain on my peace and energy? Or is it just another fleeting opinion in the vast, noisy sea of digital chatter, best observed and allowed to pass? Even in personal relationships, the inner spectator is an invaluable tool. When a loved one criticizes you or a friend disappoints you, the immediate sting can be profound. Self-doubt, defensiveness, or resentment can quickly take root. But with this practice, you can observe the initial discomfort. A criticism has been delivered. My mind is now generating thoughts of inadequacy, or perhaps anger at their insensitivity. Can I observe this criticism dispassionately? Is there a grain of truth in it, even if it's uncomfortable, or is it purely their projection? Can I simply listen to the words without immediately internalizing the negative judgment or launching into an emotional defense? This doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you choose how to respond rather than being compelled by an automatic, often unhelpful reaction. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus articulated this fundamental truth with profound clarity. It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments concerning them. This single sentence holds the key to unlocking immense inner freedom. It tells us that the external world, the unfair email, the controversial post, the critical comment, is in itself neutral. It is simply a collection of facts, words, and actions. What truly causes our suffering, our anger, our fear, and our negative thinking is the story we tell ourselves about these events. It is our interpretation, our labeling of them as good or bad, just or unjust, threatening or safe. The power we give to external things is not inherent in them, but is a gift we unwittingly bestow through our internal narrative. When we recognize this distinction between the raw event and our subjective judgment of it, we begin to take back our power. We see that negative thinking isn't an inevitable consequence of a difficult situation. It's often a direct result of our unchallenged, automatic judgments about that situation. By cultivating the inner spectator, we create a space in which we can examine these judgments, question their validity, and ultimately choose a different, more rational and peaceful interpretation. This is the profound freedom of knowing that while you cannot control the winds of external events, you can absolutely control the setting of your sails. To integrate this wisdom into your daily life, cultivate the practice of mindful disentanglement. Step 1. The alarm bell. Become acutely aware of the first signs of a strong negative emotion or a reactive thought pattern. This might be a physical sensation, a knot in your stomach, a tightening of your chest, a flush of heat, or a mental loop starting, a cascade of what-if scenarios, or an internal argument beginning. Learn to recognize these as signals that you are about to be swept away. Step 2. Name it, don't claim it. When you notice the alarm bell, intentionally create a subtle shift in your internal language. Instead of saying, "I am angry," try, "I am observing anger rising within me." Instead of, "This is terrible," articulate, "I am observing the thought, this is terrible in my mind." This simple linguistic adjustment creates a crucial psychological distance. It reminds you that you are the observer, not the emotion or the thought itself. Step 3. Breathe and create space. Take a few deep, intentional breaths. As you exhale, visualize a small gap opening up between you and the thought or emotion. Imagine placing the thought gently on a shelf or watching the emotion float by like a cloud in the vastness of your inner sky. This is not suppression. It is a conscious act of creating mental spaciousness, giving yourself room to respond rather than react. Step 4. Question the judgment. Once a sliver of space is created gently, without harsh self-criticism, ask yourself, is this truly an objective fact, or is it my interpretation, my judgment of the situation? What is the concrete evidence for this judgment? Are there alternative ways to view this event, ways that might be less emotionally charged or more conducive to peace? This inquiry is a powerful tool to dismantle automatic negative thinking patterns. Step 5. Choose your response or non-response. From this place of observation and inquiry, you are no longer a slave to your immediate impulses. You are now free to choose your response. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all, simply letting the negative spiral dissolve as it loses the fuel of your engagement. Other times, you may choose a calm, measured action or a reframe of the situation that leads to a more positive outlook. Practice this daily, starting with minor annoyances, the slow line at the grocery store, the spilled coffee, the unexpected traffic jam. As you build this muscle of observation, gradually expand it to bigger challenges. Journal about your experiences. Describe the event, your initial automatic reaction, your conscious attempt to be the inner spectator, and the eventual outcome. Note how this practice changes your experience of these events and your overall inner landscape. Consistency is key. This is a skill, not a switch you flip once. By embracing the inner spectator, by consciously detaching from the immediate drama of your mind and observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you reclaim your inner sovereignty. You transform from a reactive participant to a thoughtful director of your own mental screenplay, capable of rewriting the narrative of negative thinking into one of peace, clarity, and rational response. The fifth secret: fortify your inner citadel, mastering the dichotomy of control. Imagine your mind as a magnificent ancient city, complete with formidable walls, a towering keep, and bustling marketplaces. This city is your consciousness, your very being. Around it lies a vast, unpredictable wilderness, the world outside, filled with shifting sands of circumstance, sudden storms of adversity, and the occasional raiding party of others' opinions and actions. For many, negative thinking arises when they attempt to govern this wilderness. They try to command the winds, halt the tides, or dictate the movements of distant tribes. This futile endeavor saps their energy, breeds frustration, and leaves their inner city vulnerable, its gates flung open to every passing threat. The Stoic wisdom, however, offers a profoundly different path: the strengthening of your inner citadel. This isn't about ignoring the wilderness, but understanding its nature and establishing clear, unyielding boundaries. Your citadel represents your judgments, your intentions, your reactions, your character, the very core of who you are and what you believe. These are the precious resources within your walls, completely under your sovereign rule. Outside are the externals: wealth, reputation, health, the weather, the opinions of others, even the span of your life. These are not yours to command, no more than a city ruler can command the moon. To attempt to do so is to invite perpetual suffering. When you truly internalize this distinction, a profound transformation begins to unfold within your mind. The incessant striving to control the uncontrollable ceases. The fear of external loss diminishes because you realize your true treasures, your virtue, your wisdom, your peace of mind, are invulnerable within your fortified walls. Negative thoughts, which often arise from attachment to external outcomes or a perceived lack of control, find no purchase. They are like arrows shot at an impregnable fortress. They simply bounce off, unable to penetrate your well-guarded core. This practice is akin to a seasoned sea captain who knows he cannot control the ocean's wrath, but can master his vessel, navigate by the stars, and adjust his sails, finding peace in his competence and discernment, rather than in a calm sea. He respects the power of the sea, but understands and champions his own sphere of influence. This understanding is the bedrock upon which genuine inner peace is built, allowing you to face any external storm without being swept away. Consider a modern professional facing a sudden, unexpected layoff. The initial wave of negative thinking is often overwhelming: fear for the future, anger at the company, a crippling sense of personal failure, worry about financial stability, concern for reputation, and the crushing weight of uncertainty. Without the Stoic framework, this individual might spiral into resentment, endlessly replaying conversations, fixating on the perceived unfairness, or catastrophizing every potential outcome. They might desperately try to change the company's decision, an external event that is now past and unchangeable, or seek validation from former colleagues, another external, unreliable source of peace. All these efforts, while understandable given the shock, are directed at what is no longer within their control, leading to a deepening spiral of negativity. Now, let's apply the principle of the inner citadel to this challenging scenario. The layoff itself is an external event. It happened. Your previous job title, salary, and company affiliation are also externals. They were given by others and can be taken away. What is unequivocally within your control? Your immediate reaction. Your judgment of the situation. Is it truly a catastrophe or an unexpected opportunity for growth, redirection, or reinvention? Your intention. Will you approach this with despair and victimhood, or with resilience, a commitment to learning and proactive problem-solving? Your actions. Will you actively refine your resume, network strategically, learn new skills, manage your finances prudently, or will you succumb to self-pity and inaction? You cannot control the job market's fluctuations, but you can control the consistent effort you put into applying for new roles. You cannot control a hiring manager's final decision, but you can control the quality of your interview, your preparedness, and your professional demeanor. You cannot control what others might think about your unemployment status, but you can control your own self-worth, your dignity, and your commitment to your personal values. This profound shift in focus isn't about pretending not to feel the very real pain or disappointment that comes with loss. It's about acknowledging those feelings, processing them constructively, and then consciously directing your precious mental and emotional energy towards your undeniable sphere of influence. It's about not letting the external storm breach the walls of your inner peace, reminding yourself that your value as a person isn't inextricably tied to a job title, but to your character and how you choose to respond to adversity. When you consciously invest in and fortify what cannot be taken away, your character, your choices, your inner strength, the negative thoughts stemming from external losses begin to dissipate, replaced by a quiet, determined power. Epictetus, one of the most practical and influential Stoic philosophers, illuminated this distinction with unmatched clarity and force. He profoundly asserted, "Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. The things in our control are by nature free, unrestrained, unhindered, but those not in our control are weak, slavish, restrained, subject to others. Remember then that if you suppose that things which are slavish by nature are also free, and that what belongs to others is your own, then you will be hindered, you will lament, you will be disturbed, and you will find fault both with gods and men. But if you suppose that only to be your own, which is your own, and what belongs to others, as it really is, to belong to others, then no one will ever compel you or restrain you. You will find fault with no one, you will accuse no one, you will do nothing against your will, nor will anyone hurt you, for you will have no enemy, and you will suffer no harm." D. This monumental teaching cuts to the very heart of conquering negative thought by liberating the mind from the debilitating shackles of external dependency and placing true agency back where it belongs, within your sovereign self. To truly make this foundational wisdom your own, begin a daily practice of the Dichotomy of Control check. For the next week, commit to carrying a small notebook or utilizing a dedicated note-taking app on your phone. Whenever you encounter a situation that sparks anxiety, frustration, anger, envy, or any persistent form of negative thinking, pause for a moment. Take a deliberate, calming breath. Then, jot down the situation. Next to it, draw a clear line down the middle of the page or screen. On one side, create a list titled, "What's not in my control here?" Be rigorously honest with yourself, listing everything from others' unpredictable reactions to unforeseen external circumstances, past events, or the future outcomes that are not solely dependent on your will. On the other side, create a list titled, "What is in my control?" This crucial column will encompass your attitude, your immediate effort, your preparation, your perspective, your choice of words, your moral integrity, your judgments, your intentions, and your reactions. For example, if you find yourself fretting over a friend's harsh words or critical feedback, not in control. Their past actions leading to their current mood, their exact interpretation of your words, their inherent personality traits, how they choose to feel or react. Is in control. Your decision to respond calmly and thoughtfully, your choice to seek clarification or to communicate your own boundaries, your acceptance that you cannot dictate another person's emotions or perceptions, your unwavering commitment to your own values and character, your inner dialogue about the situation. As you diligently perform this exercise, consciously and repeatedly shift your mental energy, your focus, and your emotional investment from the not in control column to the is in control column. Dedicate your planning, your action, and your peace of mind only to what lies securely within your inner citadel. This isn't a miraculous one-time fix. It is a mental muscle you are deliberately building and strengthening with each repetition. With consistent, mindful practice, you will inevitably notice a significant reduction in the frequency and intensity of negative thoughts, gradually replaced by an abiding sense of calm power and purposeful action. You will increasingly become the unshakable lighthouse amidst any storm, guiding yourself with clarity and resilience. This diligent and continuous practice is the cornerstone of profoundly rewiring your mind with Stoic philosophy, systematically turning what were once overwhelming sources of distress into powerful opportunities for profound inner mastery and enduring tranquility. Secret 6. Author your inner story. Imagine your mind not as a passive recipient of whatever thoughts tumble in, but as a vast, fertile kingdom where you are the sovereign. Every thought, every impression, every fleeting fear or judgment seeks to plant a seed in this inner landscape. Negative thinking often stems from allowing these rogue seeds to take root and flourish, unchecked, until they choke out the garden of your peace. But you are not merely a gardener, you are the architect of this realm, the storyteller of its destiny. You have the power to decide which narratives gain traction, which stories define your experience, and which fleeting impressions are merely passing clouds, not the sky itself. This secret is about reclaiming your narrative, about understanding that while external events may present challenges, the internal story you construct around them is entirely your own creation. A sudden job loss, for example, can be framed as a catastrophic failure that defines your worth, a testament to your unworthiness. Or it can be seen as a fierce wind that has blown you off course, yes, but also cleared the path for new horizons, an invitation to reassess your values and discover unforeseen strengths. The event itself is neutral. Your interpretation, your chosen narrative, imbues it with its emotional weight. When you consciously choose to author your inner story, you step out of the role of a victim swept away by circumstance and into the powerful position of a protagonist shaping their journey. This active participation in your internal dialogue is the crucible in which negative thinking is dissolved and replaced with resilience and a sense of purpose. Consider a modern scenario. You post something online, perhaps a heartfelt opinion or a creative endeavor, and a wave of critical comments rolls in. The immediate unexamined thought might be, "I'm not good enough. People hate this. I should never share anything again." This is the negative narrative taking hold, but with Stoic wisdom you can intercept that thought. You might observe, an external event has occurred. Comments have been made. My emotional reaction is a judgment I'm forming about these comments. Is it helpful or true to believe I am not good enough, based on the opinions of anonymous strangers who may have their own insecurities or misunderstandings? You then actively choose to rewrite the script. These comments are external and beyond my control. What is within my control is my response. I can choose to learn if there's constructive criticism or dismiss it as noise if it's merely vitriol. My worth is not determined by the ephemeral approval or disapproval of others. By consciously choosing this internal narrative, you cut the roots of negative self-perception before they can entangle your mind. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us, it is not events that disturb people, but their judgments concerning them. This timeless truth underpins the very essence of authoring your inner story. The external world presents the raw material, the facts, the neutral data. It is our internal processing, our judgments, our chosen explanations that paint these facts with the colors of tragedy or opportunity, of despair or hope. To recognize this power, to internalize that the narrative is yours to write, is to disarm a vast arsenal of potential negativity. It shifts the battleground from the chaotic external world to the orderly domain of your own mind, where you possess ultimate authority. Your practical exercise. For the next few days, become a diligent observer of your self-talk. Whenever you find yourself grappling with a difficult situation or a negative thought pattern, whether it's about a mistake at work, a family misunderstanding, or a personal disappointment, pause. Identify the immediate, often reactive story your mind begins to tell. Write it down. Then, consciously challenge that narrative. Ask yourself, is this the only way to see this situation? Is there a more empowering, rational, or helpful story I can tell myself about this same event? Actively rewrite the narrative, focusing on what is within your control, what you can learn, and how you can move forward with wisdom. For instance, if the initial story is, "I messed up that presentation and now everyone thinks I'm incompetent," try reframing it as, "I learned valuable lessons from that presentation's challenges. Next time, I will prepare differently, focusing on X and Y. My ability to improve is what truly defines me, not a single outcome." Practice this rewriting until it becomes a habit, transforming you from a passive listener to your inner critic into the active author of your resilient and wise inner world. Secret 6. The ephemeral nature of shadows and light. Consider the vast, ever-shifting landscape of the sky, where clouds gather and disperse, painting transient murals of light and shadow. A tempest may rage with thunder and lightning, dominating the heavens with its fury, yet eventually its energy dissipates, revealing once more the serene expanse of blue. Then, a new sun rises, casting golden hues, a scene of perfect tranquility. Yet even this golden hour will fade into twilight. Just like these celestial dramas, our inner world is a theater of impermanence. The crushing weight of a negative thought, the despair of a setback, or the gnawing anxiety about the future, these are but clouds passing through the vastness of your consciousness. They feel monumental, enduring, as if they will forever block the sun, yet they are as fleeting as the morning mist. Conversely, the moments of joy, of triumph, of deep connection, these too are precious, shimmering flashes of light, meant to be savored but not clung to with desperation. True wisdom lies in understanding that neither sorrow nor elation is a permanent resident. Both are travelers passing through the inn of your mind. To resist this natural flow, to demand that shadows never fall or that light always lingers, is to invite endless frustration and suffering. Embrace the dance of coming and going, for within this acceptance lies a profound freedom from the tyranny of fixed states, allowing you to witness the ebb and flow of life without being swept away. In our modern world, this dance of impermanence is often forgotten, especially when dealing with personal setbacks or fleeting triumphs. Imagine the sting of a job rejection after pouring your heart into an application. The immediate impulse is to catastrophize, to assume this rejection defines your worth, that doors are permanently closed. This negative thinking anchors you to a moment, transforming a temporary disappointment into an enduring identity of failure. Or consider the opposite, the fleeting, viral success on social media, the momentary recognition. Many cling to this high, fearing its inevitable decline, and when the numbers drop, a new wave of negativity, often disguised as self-doubt or envy, washes over them. Both scenarios stem from a failure to acknowledge that all things are in flux. Your job status, your social standing, your emotional state, all are dynamic. The Stoic path encourages us to observe these changes with equanimity, to recognize that the negative impressions, just like the positive ones, are temporary phenomena. When your mind begins to spin tales of permanent doom after a professional setback, or when it grips tightly to a momentary achievement, remind yourself of the clouds. They gather, they rain, they pass. Your situation, your feelings, your successes, your failures, they too are transient. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, profoundly captures this truth. Observe always how all things are changing, and consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change existing things and to make new things like them. This is not a call to apathy, but to a deeply engaged awareness. It is an invitation to release your grip on the illusion of permanence, particularly when negative thoughts try to convince you that an adverse situation is your eternal fate. Your resilience, your ability to kill negative thinking, blossoms when you internalize that the very essence of existence is transformation. What feels like an insurmountable problem today will inevitably morph, diminish, or be replaced by new circumstances. Your internal fortitude grows when you stop fighting the current of change and learn to flow with it, trusting in the universe's ceaseless movement. Practical exercise. Over the next few days, choose one significant negative thought or feeling that arises. Instead of immediately engaging with its content or trying to suppress it, simply label it as a passing cloud. Then, actively recall a past situation that felt overwhelming or permanent at the time, but eventually resolved or faded. Notice how that cloud, too, passed. Conversely, choose a positive experience and consciously observe its transient beauty without trying to hold on to it. Each night, reflect on 3 things that change throughout your day, from the weather to your mood to a specific task's progress. Cultivate this awareness of impermanence in all things, large and small, allowing it to soften the edges of your negative thoughts and deepen your appreciation for the present moment, however it manifests. Secret 7. The alchemy of action. We've navigated the swirling currents of perception, embraced the power of our inner fortress, and distinguished what truly lies within our control. Now, let us confront the most insidious thief of mental tranquility, the paralysis of inaction, the relentless loop of worry that keeps us tethered to a self-made prison of apprehension. Negative thinking often thrives in the void created by passivity, where our minds, left unchecked, conjure storms from mere ripples. But there is an antidote, a powerful transformation you hold within your grasp, the alchemy of action. Imagine your mind as a forge. Left untended, the embers cool, and rust begins to creep over the tools, rendering them useless. But when you strike the metal, when you apply the hammer, when you feel the heat of purpose, sparks fly, and something new, something strong, begins to take shape. Your thoughts are the raw ore, and action is the hammer that transforms them. When negative thoughts whisper their doubts, urging you to shrink, to procrastinate, to ruminate endlessly, they are trying to keep you in the cool, dark corner of that forge. They want you to believe that the heat of effort is too great, the process too daunting. But the Stoics understood that motion is life, and purposeful action is the grand sculptor of our reality, and by extension, our inner landscape. Consider a common modern dilemma. You're faced with a daunting project at work or a difficult conversation you need to have with a loved one. The negative thoughts swarm. I'll fail. They'll reject me. It's too much. You scroll endlessly through social media. You distract yourself with trivial tasks, anything to avoid the uncomfortable sensation of starting. The more you delay, the heavier the burden of dread becomes, reinforcing the negative loop. But what if, instead of waiting for the perfect feeling or the perfect solution, you simply took the first, smallest step? Sending that one email, writing the first sentence, outlining the first point of conversation, even just setting a 5-minute timer to focus on the task. This isn't about solving everything at once. It's about breaking the spell of paralysis, about reclaiming agency. Each deliberate movement, however small, is a blow against the edifice of negativity, chipping away at its power. It proves to your mind that you are not a helpless spectator in your own life, but an active participant, a creator. Seneca, a master of practical Stoicism, captured this spirit when he wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." He understood that often the difficulty we perceive is a construct of our fear and inaction rather than an objective reality. Our apprehension inflates the challenge until it feels insurmountable, when in truth, a single step can deflate its imagined grandeur. We build mental mountains out of molehills through rumination, and only by putting one foot in front of the other do we discover they were always just hills. This week, when you find yourself caught in the eddy of negative thinking about a task, a challenge, or an unresolved issue, pause. Recognize the rumination for what it is, a drain on your vital energy. Then ask yourself, what is the single, smallest, most immediate action I can take right now to move forward? It doesn't have to be the solution. It just needs to be a step. It could be sending a text, making a list, researching one detail, or even just clearing your desk. Take that step. Feel the shift in your energy as you move from passive worry to active engagement. Let your actions become the chisel that carves away negativity, shaping a mind that is robust, resilient, and always moving towards purpose. Think of your mind not as a battlefield where thoughts wage war, but as an expansive, limitless sky. Within this vast expanse, thoughts appear like clouds, ever shifting, ever forming, and inevitably, ever dissolving. Some days, the sky is brilliant blue, clear and boundless, reflecting a serene and tranquil mind. Other days, heavy storm clouds gather, dark and menacing, bringing with them a torrent of worries, anxieties, or judgments, what we often label as negative thinking. But here is the profound secret, often missed in the clamor of our internal dialogues. You are not the clouds. You are the sky itself. The clouds are temporary visitors. They do not define the sky, nor do they diminish its infinite nature. A storm cloud, however imposing, is still just a transient formation against an unchanging backdrop. Similarly, your thoughts, whether joyful or despairing, are mere phenomena passing through the boundless space of your consciousness. To cling to a positive thought, to desperately try and hold onto its fleeting joy, is like attempting to grasp a wisp of vapor. It slips through your fingers, leaving you feeling empty. Conversely, to wrestle with a negative thought, to fight against its presence, is akin to battling a thunderhead with your bare hands. The more you resist, the more intense and persistent it seems to become, often gaining power precisely from your struggle. The Stoics understood this fundamental truth. Our suffering often arises not from the thought itself, but from our attachment to it, our belief that it is an inherent part of esse, rather than a momentary guest. Consider a common modern scenario. You're scrolling through social media, a digital mirror reflecting curated realities. Suddenly, you see a post from an old friend detailing a spectacular achievement, a lavish vacation, or a seemingly perfect relationship. Instantly, a cascade of negative thoughts may erupt. I'm not good enough. My life is stagnant. I'll never achieve that level of success or happiness. These thoughts can feel like an avalanche, burying your sense of self-worth. In that moment, the natural inclination might be to either forcefully reject these thoughts, "No, I am good enough," or to dive headfirst into a comparison spiral, feeling the sting of inadequacy. But the wise secret here is to simply observe. See the thought. The thought "I'm not good enough" has arisen. Notice its texture, its emotional charge, but do not fuse with it. Do not let it become the pilot of your internal aircraft. Imagine it as a notification on your phone. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't necessarily click on it or let it derail your entire day. You are the screen, aware of the notification, but separate from its content. This practice allows you to witness the thought without becoming it, a vital step in detaching from its power to dictate your mood and self-perception. This principle extends to myriad aspects of life. At work, a critical email arrives from a superior, highlighting a perceived error or suggesting a different approach. Your first reaction might be a surge of anxiety, a spiral of "I've failed." They'll think I'm incompetent, or my career is in jeopardy. Instead of letting these thoughts hijack your calm, simply name them. A thought of failure has presented itself. Observe the physical sensations they evoke, the tightening in your chest, the knot in your stomach, as mere echoes of the thought, not definitive truths about your capabilities or the true intent of the email. You can read the email, assess the facts, and then address it from a place of reason rather than emotional reactivity. In personal relationships, a minor disagreement can quickly escalate if we cling to thoughts of blame or resentment. They always do this. They don't respect me. I'm always the one making the effort. These thoughts, left unchecked and believed, become formidable walls between you and another person, poisoning the well of communication. The Stoic path invites you to step back, to recognize these as mental constructs, interpretations, not necessarily the objective reality of the moment or the true nature of the other person's intentions. They are clouds, not the unblemished sky of your shared connection. By recognizing them as transient, you open the possibility for resolution and understanding. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, offered this profound insight. When you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This timeless wisdom extends beautifully to our internal landscape. Negative thoughts, while arising from internal processes, are often responses to external stimuli or our interpretations of them. The thing itself is not the thought, but our judgment of it, our clinging to it, our identification with it that causes distress. You possess the inherent power to revoke that estimate, to release that grip. It's not about eradicating negative thoughts, an impossible and perhaps even undesirable task, as even unpleasant thoughts can contain valuable information or act as prompts for self-reflection. But about changing your relationship with them. It's about recognizing their impermanence, their non-identity with your essential self. This revocation is a quiet, powerful assertion of your inner autonomy, a refusal to be defined by fleeting mental states. It empowers you to choose your response rather than being swept away by the current of reactive thinking. This revocation is not an act of suppression, which often backfires, making the unwanted thought stronger, like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It is an act of liberation, of creating space. Imagine holding a delicate bird. If you grasp it too tightly, you might crush it. If you hold it too loosely, it might fly away. But if you open your hand and simply observe it, letting it rest there for a moment before it takes flight, you experience its presence without trying to control its nature or destiny. Your thoughts are like these birds. They appear, they alight in your mind, and given the space of non-attachment and non-judgment, they eventually take flight, leaving your inner sky clear once more. This gentle, accepting approach fosters a deeper sense of inner peace and resilience, building a stronger foundation for your mental well-being than any battle ever could. It teaches you that your inherent nature is spacious awareness, not the content that passes through it. So how do we practically apply this secret to rewire our minds and cultivate a more expansive, resilient inner landscape? The exercise is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative, requiring only consistent, gentle attention. Practical exercise. The observer's gaze. Throughout your day, make a conscious effort to practice the observer's gaze. Whenever a strong thought arises, be it negative, anxious, critical, or even excessively positive and distracting, pause for a moment. Instead of immediately engaging with its content or launching into an internal debate, mentally or quietly aloud if you are in a private space, acknowledge its presence by simply saying, "A thought has arisen." Do not judge it as good or bad, useful or useless. Simply note its appearance, like a scientist observing a phenomenon. Then, visualize this thought in a tangible, yet transient form. Perhaps it's a leaf floating down a gentle stream, drifting past you, eventually disappearing around a bend, or a cloud passing overhead in the vast sky, gradually changing shape and dissipating, or a distant train whistle, heard but not pursued, fading into the background. Allow it to move through your consciousness without chasing it, without pushing it away, without clinging to it. Just observe its journey, its beginning, its middle, and its eventual departure. Do this for at least 5 distinct thoughts today. Notice how simply acknowledging and observing, rather than fighting or indulging, creates a subtle but significant space between you and the thought. This space is your freedom. It is the beginning of rewiring your mind to recognize that while thoughts come and go, your fundamental self, the sky, remains untouched and unburdened by the passing weather. With consistent practice, you will learn to dwell not in the ever-changing landscape of your thoughts, but in the spacious, eternal awareness that contains them all. This isn't just a mental trick. It's a profound shift in self-identification, a true embrace of your inner Stoic wisdom, leading to a mind less susceptible to the tyranny of fleeting thought. You have walked through the 7 wise secrets, each a powerful key to dismantling the fortresses of negative thought and reclaiming the peace of your inner world. But understand this, the journey of rewiring your mind is not a destination achieved in a single moment of insight, but a path continually walked. The mind, like a vibrant garden, always threatens to be overtaken by weeds if not consistently tended. The seeds of doubt, fear, and worry are perpetually carried on the winds of circumstance, seeking fertile ground. The unending polish, honing your inner sanctuary. Imagine your mind not as a finished building, but as a magnificent, ancient temple. It is a sacred space, capable of profound wisdom and serenity, but it requires continuous reverence and care. Each of the 7 secrets you've embraced is a tool, a broom to sweep away the dust, a cloth to polish the sacred altars, a lamp to illuminate the shadows. Yet the dust will settle again, the surfaces will dull, and shadows will lengthen if the work ceases. The true power lies not in the initial cleanse, but in the unwavering commitment to its ongoing maintenance, to the unending polish of your inner sanctuary. This is the alchemy of continuous practice, transforming fleeting insights into ingrained wisdom. Consider a craftsman dedicated to perfecting their skill. They do not simply learn a technique once and deem themselves masters. No, they return to the workbench day after day, honing their touch, refining their eye, patiently shaping the raw material. Each strike of the hammer, each careful cut, is a practice, a meditation. In our modern lives, think of maintaining a healthy habit, be it physical fitness or a mindful diet. One gym session doesn't create a fit body. It's the consistent return, the dedication to daily choices that sculpts lasting change. Similarly, one moment of Stoic reflection, while impactful, does not permanently banish negative thinking. It is the steady, daily application of these principles, the constant checking and reorienting, that truly rewires your neural pathways and builds a resilient mind. As Seneca wisely wrote, it is not enough to avoid errors once, one must avoid them always. The challenge is not just to defeat a negative thought today, but to cultivate a mental environment where such thoughts find it harder to take root tomorrow and the day after that. It is the persistent act of challenging your judgments, accepting what is beyond your control, and focusing on your character that fortifies your inner world against the daily onslaught of external pressures. Your practice for unending polish. At the close of each day, perform a brief mental review. Before sleep, reflect on moments where negative thoughts tried to creep in. Did you apply one of the 7 secrets? How effective was your response? Did you miss an opportunity to practice? Don't judge yourself harshly, but simply observe. Then consciously commit to tending your inner sanctuary with renewed vigilance the following day. This daily self-assessment and recommitment are the unending polish, the secret to making Stoicism not just a philosophy you study, but a life you embody. You have journeyed through the labyrinth of your own thoughts, confronting the shadows that once obscured your inner light. The 7 wise secrets were not mere suggestions, but keys, each one unlocking a gate to a more serene and resilient self. Now, as the dust settles from this profound recalibration, you stand not at the end of a battle, but at the dawn of a new way of being. This is where the true work of integration begins, transforming transient insights into an unwavering philosophy that guides your every moment. Think of your mind not as a battlefield, but as a vast, fertile garden. For too long, the weeds of negative thinking, doubt, fear, regret, choked out the blossoms of joy and purpose. You've diligently tilled the soil, removed the encroaching thorns, and planted seeds of Stoic wisdom. Now the task is not merely to plant, but to tend. To water these new virtues with daily practice, to protect them from the harsh winds of external events, and to allow them to flourish into a vibrant landscape of inner peace. This isn't a one-time purge. It's an ongoing cultivation, a commitment to nurture the mental environment you've so carefully crafted. The essence of rewiring your mind with Stoic philosophy lies in this continuous, conscious engagement. It's in the quiet moments of introspection, the deliberate choice to pause before reacting, the conscious shift from judgment to acceptance. You've learned to recognize the subtle whispers of negativity before they erupt into a storm, to distinguish what is within your control from what is not, and to find gratitude even in the mundane. This vigilance isn't a burden. It's the very foundation of your newfound freedom. It's the quiet strength of the ancient oak, whose roots run deep, allowing it to weather any tempest, not by resisting the wind, but by standing firm and unyielding within itself. This transformation isn't about eradicating every fleeting negative thought, for even the Stoics acknowledged the initial impressions, the fantasia that arise unbidden. Instead, it's about mastering your response to them. It's about building an inner fortress, an impregnable citadel where your true self resides, untouched by the chaos of the outer world. The teachings of the Stoics are not a shield that deflects reality, but a profound understanding that reshapes your perception of it. They teach you to engage with life's challenges not as victims of circumstance, but as active participants, always empowered to choose your response. As Marcus Aurelius so sagely observed, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig. This wisdom encapsulates the continuous excavation, the constant seeking of that inner wellspring, The journey of silencing negative thinking isn't about burying discomfort, but about revealing the inherent goodness, the eudaimonia, that lies beneath the surface of anxiety and discontent. It demands a persistent, gentle digging, a daily commitment to reflection, to virtue, and to the unwavering truth that your inner world is sovereign. So, let this be your enduring mantra. I am the master of my perceptions. I am the architect of my inner world. The negative thoughts that once held sway are now merely passing clouds in the vast sky of my consciousness. I acknowledge their presence, but I do not give them power. I choose to anchor myself in the calm, rational harbor of my Stoic principles. This is not a final destination, but a beautiful, ever-unfolding journey. Embrace the practice, for in its continuity lies the enduring serenity you now possess. You have journeyed through these 7 ancient secrets, not merely as an observer, but as an architect of your inner world. Consider this not an end, but a profound beginning. The true strength of Stoicism lies not in its theorems, but in its daily, unwavering practice. Each time you caught a fleeting negative thought, each moment you paused before reaction, each instance you chose wisdom over impulse, you were not just learning. You were actively rewiring the very pathways of your mind. You were chipping away at the old, unhelpful narratives, making space for a clearer, more resilient understanding of reality. The path to inner freedom is rarely a grand, dramatic leap, but a steady, consistent march of small, deliberate choices. Remember, the goal was not to eliminate all thought, nor to become impervious to feeling, but to master the art of discernment, to separate what is truly within your control from what is not. This distinction is the bedrock upon which genuine peace is built. You've been given the tools to observe the fleeting nature of external events and the enduring power of your internal response. This power, often overlooked, is your most formidable asset. It is the silent, unyielding force that transforms trials into lessons and anxieties into opportunities for growth. To walk the Stoic path is to reclaim sovereignty over your own mind, to stand firm amidst the shifting sands of fortune, and to cultivate an unshakable inner calm. As you step forward, carry this fundamental truth within you. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Epictetus, the once enslaved philosopher, understood the profound freedom that comes from this realization. Your mind is not a prison for negative thoughts. It is a garden. And like any garden, it requires diligent care, constant weeding, and the patient planting of seeds that will yield tranquility, wisdom, and resilience. Do not fear the return of old patterns, for they are simply reminders to resume your practice, to gently guide your mind back to the principles you have embraced. Let this be your enduring mantra. I control my judgments, my desires, my aversions, my intentions. This is the truth of my power. This is the frontier of my freedom. Let the external world rage or whisper. Within you, a calm, unwavering flame now burns brighter. Let it illuminate your way, guiding you through every challenge, every doubt, and every moment of decision. The negative thinking that once held sway now dissipates in its light, replaced by the quiet certainty of a mind at peace with itself. The work is ongoing, the practice eternal, but the foundation is laid. Live consciously, choose wisely, and embrace the profound serenity that is your birthright.